Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Sports with Ray. I'm your host, Ray Rob. Glad everybody can be here. Thank y'all for checking in, all the good stuff. It's been a minute. We're now in a different season. It's summertime. It's almost 100 degrees everywhere except for like 12 areas that has that drastic springtime. It's 95 for a minute here, and then in the nighttime it may be like 50 or 40. But for the most part, the earth is scorching, and it's crazy. But welcome to the summertime. So I'm not even really gonna waste any time, man. Summertime. I know a lot of people got kids and everything, so maybe I got them either at home. Some of them got jobs, returning home from school, summer programs. Traveling. Traveling's been up. I mean, as well as inflation and everything else, and all the craziness that's happening in the world. I hope everybody just stay safe. Love your family. Be cool. All that great stuff. When people say stay out the way, this is really the time you want to. It's like you want to do stuff, but you want to do stuff and stay out the way, if that makes sense. So, a lot's happened. First of all, I just want to give a shout out to myself because I super made a wrong pick. I had Golden State being upset in the first round, but I based it on health. But one thing about me, I have no problem admitting it when I'm wrong. Not only was I wrong, but they won the championship. So shout out to Golden State. Shout out to Golden State. It's they are this era's San Antonio. As far as they're a dynasty in this area. The word dynasty has kind of changed over the years, or the perception. It used to be consecutive championships in a row, or they've done all of the above. They won 3 and 4 years. And now they've won 4 and 8, but they've been to the final 6 and 8. So, they did everything that you should do. That's right. They drafted from within. They established a culture. There's roles and identities that have been established. You can tell from the top to the bottom, and it resonates. Definitely want to give a shout out to Steph Curry. People think I have my qualms about him. I really don't. I think he's a dope player. I always just said with some people, I'm just fair across the board. Like, to me, I just feel like, the same way somebody can be constructively criticized is the same way they can be praised. But you know how that is. Some people avoid certain criticism that other similar people get more of. But let's just start with, Boston showed their inexperience. It's this hard. Watching them play offense is very hard to watch. By the way, just in case you didn't know, Golden State won 4-2. Closed it out in Boston. Game 6. Steph averaged 30. Steph was the finals MVP, which people said he had to have on his legacy, which I get. He did. It's just that there's a little bit of the history. People seem to change history when something happens, then I'm not really with that shit. But because he's not played bad really like that. I mean, he did not. When they blew the 3-1 series, he didn't play great like those last few games. But the majority of the playoffs, man, he balls out. So, it's like they try to find things. When I say the media, they find things that they want to find to make story headlines. And sometimes it's entertaining, sometimes it isn't. But back to it. I mean, both teams were very flawed. Boston was up 2-1 and they lost 3 straight. They don't have a point guard or a distributor that makes the game easier. A lot of their issues that they had before they had that great turnaround was that Brown and Tatum were going one-on-one too much. The ball wasn't really moving. And so you could tell there was a conscious effort made by Marcus Smart. It was more of a combo guard, to try to initiate offense. But one thing, that you saw like in Game 6, for example, they had the formula. I don't know what's on here. Just ignore that. They had the formula. This is getting on my nerves. They had the formula. They posted up Golden State, and they were beating them, and it was up 14-2 or something like that. And then easy baskets, easy success, way to move the ball. And then, what happens is when you're faced with adversity, you usually go back to what you know. Golden State walked down that lead, and then they just went back to one-on-one basketball. I feel like they need a point guard. And I feel that anybody besides Tatum, Brown was the best player on the team by far. Tatum has a lot of growing up to do. He was forcing it. It was he looked like KD looked like when Boston played Brooklyn. He just couldn't really get out his way. Like he couldn't really figure it out, and it just wasn't his series. But I would say besides Brown, Tatum, Williams, I say keep Al Horford. Grant Williams, he really didn't show up. Their bench, the Derek White that had a great start to the series. Grant Williams was non-existent this whole series. It was almost like he got a little notoriety, and I don't know if it went to his head, but he wasn't as effective after that. But besides those three, maybe four, anybody else could be on the table. I'm not saying you need to make a drastic move if you want to tweak here somewhere, but they need, I don't know what kind of distributor they may want to get. I feel like De'Aaron Fox. I know that's a big move, but somebody like that. Or even like they said, a Malcolm Brogdon. If they can get a Malcolm Brogdon, he plays defense, he can score, he can initiate offense. They just need somebody to create easier shots for them. They have the defense. They're establishing the defensive culture and the mindset there. They do have a bright future, but it's not guaranteed. It's going to be hard. We don't know what Brooklyn's going to do. We don't know what Philly's going to do. We'll know they'll be somewhere in there if they're healthy and on one accord for the most part. Milwaukee's going to be there. That's almost the one thing you can't count on. Milwaukee's going to be there. Miami will be there of some sort. They need to make a certain improvement as well. But I'm not going to do an all the way breakdown of what everybody needs to do. I'll just keep it simple. But those are just some of the challenges that they're faced with. Golden State, on the other hand, I think this is a good year that they got it in as well, because just like a lot of people saying, also the Clippers I feel are in the same position with Boston. They have two elite wing players, and they don't have somebody that can set them up easy. Paul George is a little more polished at getting and creating shots, opposed to like a Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. And Kawhi can create offense, but they need a point guard too. But they have the pieces where they'll make it work. They were stopped because of injury. Boston was stopped because of their scoring. That was their Achilles heel. When you look at Golden State, shout out to Golden State, as I said before. Steph balled out, and Andrew Wiggins balled out. Those were the two best players on the team by far, and Draymond was third. Clay and Jordan Poole were up and down, but they made plays when they needed to. Wiggins really solidified himself as a elite two-way player in this league. He found a role that he's happy in, They accepted him, and because he's one of those. He's actually, to me, besides Steph, he's the second best one-on-one player on their team because he can get his own bucket. Jordan can too, but when Jordan played Boston, he couldn't get around that length. Andrew can, and he attack the boards too. So, and then they have, if Wiseman comes back with Kuminga, they have a blend of young talent and with the vets that's going to make them dangerous. But Memphis definitely feels like they should have beat them if Ja was healthy. Yeah, like I said, you have the Clippers. You don't know what the Lakers are going to do. I don't know what the Suns are going to do. I think the Suns' window may have closed. You never know. Minnesota, they're coming. New Orleans will be an interesting dark horse if Zion gets with the program and he comes in ready. So Golden State, I mean, heavy as the crown, heavy as the head that wears the crown. So definitely give them a shout out. Steph winning 4 titles now puts him in rarefied air. As far as top 10, I don't really have a top 10 list because to me, the top 10 is just, I don't like the top 10 list because I feel like the top 10 list is BS. It's only applicable to certain people. So when it comes to most people know I always feel like I'm a Kobe apologist, but I've never really heard MJ compared to like they don't compare him to Tim Duncan. They really only compare MJ to Kareem and maybe Bill. Bill has to be thrown in there because people throw the 6 rings in there for MJ. So it's like, well, Bill had 11 or 10 playing and 1 as a coach. You see what I'm saying? And then they really wasn't throwing Kareem in there until people just, wanted to offset. LeBron, I've never heard them. They just automatically just put him above Magic, Bird. He's never been compared to Tim Duncan, who Tim Duncan has beat him more times in the finals and everything, has a better finals record. I'm just speaking how I feel. Like, I don't even see Magic and Bird compared to Tim Duncan. Or I don't see LeBron and them really compared. I mean, at one time, Michael was compared to Wilt with certain things, but they don't. I mean, they don't really compare the big man like that. I mean, it's like you don't want to disrespect the big man, but to me, the top 10 has to be mostly wings because the big men aren't fairly regarded. But like I always say, when it comes to Kobe, then you compare Kobe to Oscar. Is he better than Oscar? Is he better? He's not better than Chamberlain. He's not better. You know what I'm saying? He's not better than Shaq. Like, he's the only one that gets, out of these wing players, that gets compared to all the big men. No matter, and then you just listen to the media, just continue to, the narrative change is just ridiculous, I just don't, I'm going to continue to speak about it because I just think it's crazy. But, MJ, LeBron, Magic, and Bird, you do not compare them to most of the big men at all. You don't. You just damn near say they're better, You just say they're better. But Kobe, now you want to compare him to all the big men. That's slick. But I've been caught that. So whatever. And then the other slick shit, excuse my language, the other slick stuff that they're trying to do, like in the audacity, and then people really are just carrying this argument. Okay. It's been 6 years. It's about to be 6 years since Kevin Durant went to Golden State. I'm not going to go over all the history because everybody knows what happened and everybody has their preconceived notions. Not that they won't apply it to their real life, but only like basketball is supposed to have these standards, but not you in your life. Not you staying at some place and want to get a better job and you'll be successful and get your goals and get all this other stuff for your portfolio. Nah. But for basketball, it's these fake rules that never have applied. So, first, it was he went down. He lost. He went to the team that he was down 3-1. Okay. Yeah, even though the team that he went to, everybody keeps on talking about a 73-9, but they don't talk about has the biggest collapse in NBA history. Like, frail as hell. And he was the one, he basically caught all the flack. All the smoke that they were supposed to get from that, he didn't get. They didn't get. He got it. Okay. And then everybody was mad because they were basically unbeatable. He was clearly the best player on that team, with all due respect to everybody. So, now it's the bus driver. Now they want to make up bus driver roles. And, I didn't play basketball like Charles or anything like that, but it's the way that we just do stuff to just down other people subtly, like bus driver and all that. Man, he was the best player. None of that bus driver, none of that stuff. They don't apply it. They don't apply it beforehand. They're only applying it to this era and time period. Really, it just started with Kobe and Shaq. That's really what it is. And I always say Durant's like the Kobe of this era. As far as the way he's good, his accomplishments are not going to be appreciated because he's in the era with LeBron. Whether fair or unfair, LeBron didn't do anything wrong. He's just himself. He's just trying to be great. They just all trying to be great. No matter what players will tell you, no matter how many times, it's like people will tell all the players and everything will say they select. A lot of players say they choose Kobe over LeBron, or that's the hardest person they had to guard, and the media tries to act like they don't know what they're talking about. It's the same way when people try to the players talk about Kevin Durant, and the media tries to get the same pushback. So you're trying to tell me those 3 years that he was there, when the media made sure that they always was trying to divide a wedge between them. They never said to Golden State where it was KD and the Warriors. You tried to separate though KD and the Warriors to the point when then something happened, then they ended up being inevitable where they were going to be separated. So you try to, 3 years. Oh, excuse me. Basically, his championships don't count. All the shit. How somebody championships don't count? Because if they would have lost, when Toronto won, they counted that shit. Nobody says, hey, Kawhi, that second championship really don't count because KD and then Clay got injured. So, cut the shit. But the audacity, you need to leave Golden State and you have to win. You basically, enjoy it. They said, y'all want players to struggle and suffer. I could get struggling and suffering, maybe in your first couple of years, but he left going into year 10, the dysfunction in OKC, I've stated it so many times. They drafted better than Golden State. By the time he ended up leaving, most of the players that they drafted, which were first round draft picks, weren't on the team. But anyway. But now the narrative changed from he needed to get his own team and win. And of course, now it's he left Steph Curry where he could have continued to win championships to go to Kyrie, and Kyrie ain't helping none of this shit. And part of the problem is Kevin Durant is, he's taking a lot of flack because, he got injured. He's been getting injured as well, but he doesn't have the adequate support. He got 2 iffy-ass players that's playing with him. Talented, but enigmas. But now you're trying to tell me that the narrative has now switched to he left Steph Curry to go to Kyrie. And if he doesn't win, basically he doesn't get a certain kind of respect or anything like that. That type of shit to me that's personal. Like when they're talking about Kobe, they said Kobe had to do it. That was dumb too. Why does he have to win without Shaq? Why are y'all making these certain rules for only certain players? Y'all didn't make them rules for Moses or Dr. J and Chuck talking shit you lost 3-1 to Houston and you went to Houston a couple years later. So what are you talking about? Everybody talking about that was later in his career. He won the MVP 2, 3 years before you. He got drafted in 84, 85? He was in his 12th year. Maybe 13. Oh, not to mention he forced his way out of Philadelphia because he couldn't win after all those legends left. So, I mean, I don't understand. People just seem to forget certain things, and I'm not knocking him. And he will never win a title. Talking about a man that averaged 35-9, like he won't get the respect. What you mean? That doesn't even make sense. That's personal. I mean, you could say, if you do win one, this can affect it greatly. But just to say, like, so if you don't win anymore, like what? Like Kevin Durant ain't no top 10 player. If y'all just talking about basketball, like that doesn't even make sense. The only way that hell, Kobe's barely top 10 to most people, except for the people that played. But you just talking about basketball. This shit is easy to see. Like they're the best players. They're the best players. I mean, now it's a little, you can say Giannis, and then I'm a Giannis guy and everything. Like, all right, maybe Kawhi, but he don't be healthy all the time. Like they tried to throw Kawhi in there when they didn't like KD. They tried to push him forward, just like when the media was mad at LeBron when he went to Miami. They tried to throw KD and D Rose. Like just like when the media was mad at Kobe, LeBron was the darling. Like this is the same shit, and everybody keeps falling for it. But I just don't like that. I do not like that narrative. That narrative is crazy to me. And people keep falling for it. Like, listen, man, I don't know if he'll ever win another championship. But, I mean, I know as far as playing basketball, if you're talking about basketball, just the skill level and everything, which you've seen unless you just don't like him, there ain't 8 people better than Durant that's ever played the game. If you just talk about who hooping and if you had to put some money on the line, you're not choosing 8 people over him. You're not. Steph, you can say he's changed basketball. He definitely has. And if you want to he deserved to be a top 10, like putting him as the greatest point guard of all time, you know what I'm saying? I don't agree with it, but if you want to put him there, I guess that's cool. And then you look at Magic, like Magic, all the stuff, he was the bus driver. I mean, he went to Kareem, and at one time, like, that bus driver stuff don't matter to me. Like, they both was 1A. Like, so I don't know what I do know. I just, everybody, I mean, the saying is everybody's entitled to their opinions, but they really aren't. Some people's opinions just need to be muted to me. But hey, that's what social media and this all this good stuff is for. So you can say whatever the heck you want. That's my rage. My rage about them. Also, just real quick, because the NBA draft is this week. I know the top 5 is, if I'm correct, we're looking at it. Orlando, then OKC got all them draft picks. Then it's Houston, Sacramento, and then Detroit. And then you also got the 3 picks that everybody's been enamoring, clawing over. Jabari Smith. He is cold, 6'10" from Auburn. Can do a whole bunch of things. Switch, everything. He's ready. You got Chet Holmgren, went to Gonzaga. Freshman, 7'1". He's not even 200 pounds. That boy can hoop. You know what I'm saying? And also, Mr. Banchero from Duke. He a dog. I'm interested to see how he's going to turn out. Because he could be good or bad, I think he could be a beast. His game definitely translates, but sometimes I need to see that fleet of foot in the league. But he's an easy walking double-double machine. So NBA draft will definitely be key because the majority of the teams that did good, the teams that had stability, if you look at it, you see from Memphis, Golden State, Boston, even Miami's core. I mean, they have some free agencies, veterans that are sprinkled in there, but a lot of the core is drafted. You know, they're drafted. Milwaukee. So all that putting teams together, it works when it works, and when it doesn't, it doesn't. So you have a blend. It's almost like that's fading out. But you got to keep trying. So it'll be interesting to see. And then, also, it's the last part. I always got to talk about things O-State. So this is the Ohio State football segment. In case you didn't know, I'm a big Ohio State football fan. I try to be reasonable. I was the crazy fan until I realized they go about their life after the game. I mean, they may stick with them certain ways because they're the ones that's playing it, but, they're kids. They're young adults trying to figure it out. And now, they're just starting to get paid, but they're not professionals. You see, professionals messing up, so I'm not going to ruin my life being mad. I used to be mad for a couple of days when Ohio State lost, and then I had to stop that. But, it's recruiting time for the 2023 recruiting class. So far, Ohio State has 12 commits. And back-to-back days, they got, depending on which site you look at, 2 of the top 5 receivers in the country. The first one to commit was Carnell Tate. He's from IMG, them Florida boys, you know what I'm saying? Florida boys coming up to Ohio. Shout out to them. He is the number 4 receiver in the nation. I saw some of his highlights. That boy gets loose. That boy gets loosey-goosey. And then you also have another 5-star who's actually a higher rated wide receiver than Tate, which his name is Brandon Ennis. And he's from American Heritage. I want to say almost by Northern Fort Lauderdale or something like that. But both Florida boys, he's the number 2 receiver in the country. So they got 2 5-stars in less than 24 hours, which is cool because I feel like, these young boys, they communicate and everything. And also Ohio State got the best wide receiver room in the country. You think about it, they had 3 players that got drafted that was in the same wide receiver room. They went 10, 11, and 12. You got Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jameson Williams. And he only went 12 because he tore his ACL. But you think about it, they all played together the year before when they tapped Clemson, you know what I'm saying, before they lost to Alabama. And then, not to mention, you still have probably the nation's best wide receiver, Jackson and Jigba. You have Marvin Harrison. You got Fleming, who was like the number 1 receiver in the country at one time. Emeka Egbuka. I say Harrison Jr., then Harrison Jr. They got a loaded room. So, definitely shout out to them. Ryan Day. Coach Hartline, getting these kids together. The defense is going to be something to see because the defense is the whole question, and of course health and a little bit of luck. But that defense has to make a major jump, because it's one thing if you don't have the talent, it's another thing if you have the talent and they just need to be put in the right places. So I think it's the latter. They have the talent, they just need to be put in the right places. I think they're gonna run that 3-3-5, so that should be pretty good. So also, just so you, as I said before, they do have 12 commits for the 2023 class. They got 9 4-stars. They do have another receiver, Bryson Rogers. They got Dejon Thompson. And then you also have Luke Montgomery, who's an old tackle, who's the number 1 player in Ohio right now. So things are looking pretty good for the Buckeyes. Well, they always look good, but, Ryan Day just lost his first Big Ten game after 3 years. you saw Jim Harbaugh basically saying, I mean, you came with the cupboard full, so you don't really get any credit. You got to build it up. And then also people want to say, well, let's see how you do now that Urban's recruits are gone. But I like Ryan Day. Ryan Day, usually I feel like for Ohio State coaches, I really like for them to have Ohio ties. But I feel like he's locked in. He's tapped in. He gets it. When things happen, just like when the defense wasn't playing great last year, he dealt with it head on. He's confrontational in a good way. He's not going to wait. If there's a situation that needs to be addressed today, he's going to address it today. And, that makes people uncomfortable, and that may not make people happy. But at the end of the day, you got a job to do. And he knows the place that he is coaching at. He understands all of that. I feel like some other coaches didn't understand the full magnitude. He gets it, and he's not playing with it. And I respect that about him. So, in closing, it's going to be real interesting. It's the summertime. You're going to have the NFL draft. There will be OTAs. Of course, you got things like the Deshaun Watson case. I have no comment on that until everything is complete. But, I'm a Bears fan. I'm not optimistic. Unless we trade for Terry McLaurin to do something, But there's kind of a quiet, dead period. Like things are bubbling. So definitely make sure still touch bases. Any kind of news from the recruiting trail, any news, because of course free agency is going to come up probably in a couple weeks. So it's usually the draft, free agency, the mandatory not the mini camps, training camps. Keeps happening. The training camps, college football, and then boom, the NFL. So there'll be a lot to talk about. But I want to thank y'all. Thank everybody for checking in to the Sports with Ray. Once again, my name is Ray. My tags, Ray Robb, REIROBB 97. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. It's all the same. I have my links in my pages where you can go check it out on YouTube as well. So I want to thank everybody. Any comments, concerns, anything that you have, just hit me up. Also have the Ray Robb Report podcast page on Facebook as well. REIROBB podcast. So thank you. Everybody have a great one.